I want to show you all promising underdogs and favorites that I noticed for UFC Fight Night Barboza versus Murphy. I'll also provide you my final probability for those fighters' victories as well as their stat differentials. Please do me a favor and like and subscribe if you find this informative, helpful, or even entertaining. I've also added my Patreon information in the description if you want to support me through that. It's definitely not required, but it would be very much appreciated. Running this data and editing takes hours every day and week, so I'd really appreciate any support. And thank you to everyone who has shown me support recently. Also, if you like detailed breakdowns and predictions, I do those videos weekly as well for full cards, including the prelims, so feel free to check those out on my channel. Let's go ahead and jump right in. First, let's take a look at promising underdogs. The fighters' names are on the leftmost column, followed by their probability of victories that are presented to you in the prediction video from earlier this week. These probabilities aren't only based on several data science prediction models, which have been trained for accuracy, but other qualitative information as well about each fighter, such as their momentum, their recent performances, their career's trajectory, psychological factors, their training camps, their weight cuts, and much more. Then, I also provided the stat advantages for fighters compared to their opponent. I've excluded stat differentials where one of the fighters has a 0 for their stats, otherwise those can be misleading, and I don't want to mislead you guys. So let's go ahead and take a look at promising underdogs first. The first promising underdog that I want to highlight for you guys is none other than Edson Barboza. Edson Barboza has a height advantage of 2 inches, he has a reach advantage of 2 inches, he lands 0.53 more strikes per minute, he has a 1% higher striking defense, he has a 4% higher takedown accuracy, and he has a 29% higher takedown defense. Now, all things considered, I gave Edson Barboza a 40.4% probability of victory, and I think he's a great underdog to feature because Barboza has a killer record. He has a great resume and great experience. He's won 24 fights, he's finished 63% of them, he's won 18 out of 29 of his UFC fights, recently he's won 3 out of his last 5 fights, and he's coming off of a 2-fight win streak. The last time he lost was back in 2022 in March. Now, let's go ahead and discuss some reasons aside from stats alone that make Barboza a good underdog. Barboza's Muay Thai skills, especially his powerful kicks, give him a huge advantage in his stand-up fighting. His strategic use of space and timing helps him land significant strikes while avoiding close-range exchanges where Murphy's boxing skills really shine. Murphy, though a strong boxer, lacks the in-depth Muay Thai experience that Barboza has, relying more on his combinations. Barboza's experience against tough opponents and his ability to perform under pressure really give him an edge in momentum and recent performances. His mental toughness, honed through numerous high-stakes fights, also plays a significant role in this fight. Barboza's camp is known for meticulous preparation and strategic planning, giving him a tactical edge over Murphy, whose experience in adapting to different styles is less proven. Considering these factors, Barboza's superior striking versatility, his experience, and his ability to execute complex game plans makes him a great fighter to feature as a promising underdog this weekend. The next promising underdog that I want to highlight for you all is Carlston Harris. Carlston Harris has a 10% higher striking accuracy, he absorbs 2.89 less strikes per minute, and he has an 11% higher striking defense as well. All things considered, I gave Carlston Harris a 40.2% probability of victory, and I think he's a good underdog to feature here because he's won 19 fights, he's finished 57.9% of them, he's won 4 out of 5 of his UFC fights, and recently he's won 4 out of his 5 last fights, and he's coming off of a 2-fight win streak. The last time he lost was in February of 2022, but let's discuss reasons outside of stats alone. Harris's versatility in striking and grappling, as well as his ability to adapt his strategy, presents a challenge for Williams in this fight. Harris's balanced record of wins by knockout, submission, and decision reflects his adaptability and his ability to exploit his opponent's weaknesses. His resilience and determination, demonstrated by his career turnaround and his UFC success, give him momentum and confidence coming into this fight. His mental toughness and adaptability, seen in some of his come-from-behind victories, could be crucial against Williams' aggressive style. His historical performances against high-caliber opponents and strategic approach further enhance his edge in this fight. Harris's potential to exploit Williams' vulnerabilities in striking and the ground game, as well as his ability to control the pace and location of the fight, are working in his favor in this one. So I think he's a good underdog that I wanted to highlight for you all. The next promising underdog that I want to highlight is Luana Pinheiro. Luana Pinheiro is 8 years younger. She absorbs 0.56 less strikes per minute has a 1% higher striking defense, lands 1.63 more takedowns on average, and has a 6% higher takedown accuracy, and she also lands a little bit more submissions on average as well. All things considered, I gave her a 49.1% probability of victory, and there's several reasons why. For starters, she's won 11 fights and finished 64% of them. She's won 3 of her 4 UFC fights, and recently she's won 4 out of her last 5 fights. But let's discuss reasons outside of stats alone. With a background in judo and BJJ, Pinero's grappling and submission skills could neutralize Hill's striking and Muay Thai skills. Pinero's ability to control where the fight takes place, especially by closing the distance and executing those takedowns, could definitely exploit Hill's vulnerability to grappling and submissions. Pinero's momentum and her recent performances, showcasing her versatility in securing wins through striking and submissions, contrasts with Hill's mixed record and her vulnerability to fighters who can match her pace and bring the fight to the ground. Pinero's mental toughness, her adaptability, and her historical success against strikers further enhance her strategic advantage here. Her camps likely focus on closing the distance, clinching, and bringing the fight to the ground could exploit Hill's weaknesses and control the fight's pace and location in this fight. Now, I don't think that she could necessarily finish Hill, but I do see there being a strong possibility that Pinero can take the fight to the judges, do most of the controlling through the fight, and get a unanimous decision victory. The next promising underdog that I want to highlight for you all is Warlley Alves. Warlley Alves has a 6% higher striking accuracy, he absorbs 1.15 less strikes per minute, and he lands 0.74 more takedowns on average. Now, call me crazy, but I gave Warlley Alves a 50.5% probability of victory with all things considered, stats, non-stats, all the above, and I think he's a good underdog to feature here, and he's a pick of mine because he's won 15 fights, he's finished 73.4% of them, he's won a little over half of his UFC fights, but here's the thing. Alves is known for his versatile blend of BJJ and kickboxing, and honestly, he presents a well-rounded threat in this fight. He has 6 submission victories and notable knockout power as well. Magomedov, meanwhile, he boasts a striking heavy style with a substantial knockout record, though his preference for stand-up fighting might just play into Alves' diverse skill set here, which includes threats both on the feet and on the ground. Alves' resilience and his ability to rebound from his losses contrasts with Magomedov's vulnerabilities, particularly evident in his recent loss to Kai Baralho. Alves' strategic advantage lies in his ability to dictate the fight's location, potentially exploiting Magomedov's discomfort on the ground. Additionally, Alves' experience against top contenders and past victories over notable fighters showcase his ability to perform well under pressure, further tipping the scales in his favor. This one's a bit of a risk, but you guys know I like putting it all out there and showing you guys what I have. He's a pick of mine. I think he's going to get it done this weekend. Now let's take a look at promising favorites, which I've chosen through 3 main criteria. First, they have a high statistical weighted confidence either through my prediction models or through fighter stat evaluation, or some combination of both. Second, their opponent doesn't have a high probability of victory, so you're not going to notice any overlap between the underdogs I just showed you earlier and these fighters. And third, their odds aren't too expensive. If a fighter has negative 400 or negative 700 odds, they're obviously just too expensive to pick, but you could always parlay those guys if you want. I'm focusing more on finding you guys value rather than just stating obvious fighters and pointing out those negative 500 type fighters. So I consider these 3 things, I do all the work for you, and then I show you some valuable picks that fit that criteria. If you want to know how I predict each fight plays out and the results, go ahead and check out that prediction breakdown from earlier this week where I review stats, I look at each fighter's fight history, and I review the results of my 7 data science prediction models. I share my final picks, my research, and things outside of stats as well, and the methods of victory. Now for this portion of the video that covers the favorites, I'm going to go ahead and review just the stat differentials that they have against their opponent. But if you want in-depth breakdowns, go ahead and check out that video from earlier this week. It will help you out. Now the first inexpensive and confident favorite that I want to highlight for you all is Omar Sy. Now the thing is, Omar Sy may not have a lot of stat differentials against his opponent, but all things considered, stats and outside of stats, I gave him a 69.4% probability of victory. He has a height advantage of an inch, he's won 9 fights in a row, and he's finished 75% of his fights. His training is really solid, and he's mentally tough. I expect him to make a statement win coming into the UFC. The next inexpensive and confident favorite that I want to highlight is Adrian Yanez. Adrian Yanez lands 0.7 more strikes per minute, he absorbs 0.32 less strikes per minute, he has a 8% higher striking defense, and he has a 14% higher takedown defense. All things considered, stats and out of stats, I give Adrian Yanez a 73.4% probability of victory. The next inexpensive and confident favorite that I want to highlight for you all is Themba Gorimbo. Themba Gorimbo has a height advantage of 3 inches, he has a reach advantage of 5 inches, he has a 19% higher striking accuracy, he absorbs 2.41 less strikes per minute, he lands 1.49 more takedowns on average, and he has a 9% higher takedown defense. All things considered, stats and out of stats, I gave Gorimbo a 68.8% probability of victory, and I think is a great favorite to feature as well. The next inexpensive and confident favorite that I want to highlight is Tamires Vidal. Tamires Vidal is 7 years younger. She has a reach advantage of 1 inch, and she lands 1.28 more strikes per minute. She also has a 13% higher striking accuracy and a 24% higher striking defense. All things considered, I gave Tamires Vidal a 61.4% probability of victory. The next inexpensive and confident favorite that I want to highlight is Piera Rodriguez. Piera Rodriguez has a height advantage of 1 inch. She has a reach advantage of 2 inches. She lands 0.42 more strikes per minute, has a 6% higher striking accuracy, absorbs 1.74 less strikes per minute, has a 14% higher striking defense, lands 1.69 more takedowns on average, and has a 58% higher takedown defense. All things considered, I gave Piera Rodriguez a 66.2% probability of victory. The next inexpensive and confident favorite that I want to highlight for you all is Emily Ducote. Emily Ducote is 5 years younger. She has a reach advantage of 4 inches. She lands 3.49 more strikes per minute, has a 5% higher striking accuracy, has a 13% higher striking defense, has a slightly higher takedown accuracy, and has a 62% higher takedown defense. All things considered, I gave Emily a 64.6% probability of victory in this fight. The next inexpensive and confident favorite that I want to highlight is Clydeson Rodriguez. Clydeson Rodriguez is 4 years younger. He has a reach advantage of 1 inch. He lands 2.6 more strikes per minute. He has a 29% higher striking accuracy, and he absorbs 2.28 less strikes per minute. All things considered, I'm giving Rodriguez a 61.4% probability of victory in this fight. And with that being said, that wraps up this video. I really appreciate you all watching and being so supportive. Please make sure to like and subscribe if you can, and check out that Patreon if you want to support me through there for $5 or $10 a month. Your support helps keep me encouraged and motivated to continue running all of this data and analysis for you all and providing you guys all these insights. Thank you guys once again, and see you guys in the next one.